Welcome to the International Studies program, transfer orientation for fall of 2024. Appreciate everyone showing up on time as we still just let a few people in, but we understand we all live busy lives. So just a couple reminders before we get going here that this session is being recorded. Please don't share personal information like your PID or any personally identifying information about yourself, just because we're recording it, and we'll look to hopefully upload this video later this week. And so we just don't want to have any privacy concerns. For a Q&A, we're going to utilize the chat feature throughout the presentation here. And basically what we'll do is, instead of asking to be unmuted, just go ahead and drop any questions you may have during the chat. At the end of the presentation here, we'll go ahead and go through the chat and answer as many questions as possible. So like I said, mics will be muted until the Q&A. And again, just your first and last name as your screen name. So this is how we're going to organize this morning. We're going to start out with some introductions, introduce ourselves. We're going to look at some academics, including the overview of the majors in the International Studies program, including the curriculum and our requirements. We'll talk about some opportunities and involvement while you're at UCSD as a student. We know as transfer students, your time here is extremely precious and valuable. So we want to make sure you're well prepared to take advantage of all the opportunities available to you. And then we'll talk about some advising, how to use some of the academic tools, who to contact, how to contact them. But let's start with some introductions. I'm going to start with myself. My name is Corey Wild Fujikawa. I am an academic advisor and program coordinator with the International Studies program. This is my 4th year with the International Studies program. In addition to being an academic advisor, I was previously a Master's of International Affairs student here at the School of Global Policy and Strategy. So I've always been interested in international studies and international affairs, and basically anything international: culture, society, political, economic. Currently, I'm a candidate for the Doctorate of Education program here at UCSD. So I'm bridging my educations, my international affairs, and my actually studying education now. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Jose, who's with us as well.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jose. I am also one of your academic advisors and program coordinators for ISP. I'm also a graduate of UCSD in class 2021. So yeah, it's nice to be here and able to support y'all.
And up in the top right-hand corner there, we have Matthew Lin. Matthew is unable to be with us today, but I'm sure you'll meet him in person. He's an integral part of the advising team here at UCSD. And you'll see a name on the left there. The Director of Degree Programs is Dr. Nancy Gilson. Although technically she's part of the School of Global Policy and Strategy, she works just as much with the undergraduates with international studies, and particularly with the 5-year joint degree programs or 3-year joint degree programs for transfers, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then without further ado, I'll introduce our faculty director, Dr. Anna Foyer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Fewer. I'm the faculty director of the International Studies program, and I'm also an assistant teaching professor at the School of Global Policy and Strategy. We're really excited to welcome you all and very, very happy to have you in International Studies. I think you'll find that ISP is a really unique major. It's an interdisciplinary major, and it aims to promote the study of politics, economics, and culture from a global perspective. And as you all know, we live in an extremely interconnected world. So no matter what career path you're ultimately interested in pursuing, whatever kind of graduate study you might pursue, it's really essential to have an education that establishes a global context. So ISP is quite exciting because it gives you the chance to pursue disciplinary study, to study within a department, and also do interdisciplinary exploration outside of that department, and to get to know a particular country or region really in depth. So Corey and Jose are going to take you through all of that today. They'll also walk you through some of the unique and special opportunities that ISP students have. I would say that I'm also new to UC San Diego. This will be my first academic year here, so we'll all be figuring it out together. I do want to say that I think the best way to kind of orient yourself and get your footing at a very large institution like UCSD is to just ask questions. Really don't be afraid to approach any of us with questions about your coursework in ISP, how to navigate various procedures and policies on campus, and questions about how to find sources of support for whatever you might need related to your major or anything else, you know, on campus or off campus related to your degree or outside of your degree. That's what we're here for. No question is too small. And I really want everyone to feel welcomed and that they can take advantage of us as, you know, a very important resource. So I encourage you to knock on our doors. Corey will be talking a little bit about advising hours and how exactly to access the student advisors. But we also welcome all of you just to come by the Robinson complex where ISP is located to get to, we want to get to know you. So please come by to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're interested in and what you want to do in your time here. Anyway, thank you. So that's all for me.
Thank you, Dr. Fewer. So yeah, let's just move on. We'll get going here, and just to kind of build off what Dr. Fewer said right now, we'll talk about why international studies. I mean, every student that's here in our orientation must have some kind of interest in the broader world. And just to make sure this chat's working, I see a few people. Why don't we just drop, if we have an idea, maybe that city on the left is pretty noticeable. The one in the middle, the bridge in the middle, might be a little bit less noticeable. And then the little town on the right, or city on the right. Drop in the chat where you think those places are, just to get this chat going and to, you know, make sure that it's working on our end. And but I'll just talk like, why international studies? Well, you're interested in the world. You're interested in global integration. Maybe you're interested in working in a different country, working, you know, in a position domestically that's interacting with international constituents every day. You know, a variety of career paths open up in law, business, finance, academia, humanitarian work, and nonprofit sectors. And, you know, basically having a degree in which you can say, hey, I studied international studies. As an employer or future grad school, what does that tell me? That this person has cultural competence, that they can work with a diverse group of you know, both coworkers, but in outward facing positions as well. They can work with diverse groups. And, you know, more importantly, they have an interest for some of the things outside of our borders. So we're studying language, politics, and cultures. And you can really focus on another country or a region, and I'll get into that more. But the thing is that one of the parts that I love about international studies is like you're connecting with students who share your interest, but we have students from all around the world. We have students in this Zoom meeting that I'm sure all across the world with unique perspectives, individual, different ways to look at the same topics, and also able to bring some of their own culture and some of their own beliefs into our program, which I think it only makes the curriculum better. Let's see.
Corey, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I see that there's some confusion in the chat about the second orientation. Would
Sure.
you just clarify that so that
Yeah.
I think the answer might be getting lost as people post in the chat.
I'll answer that right away. So
Thanks.
we will have enrollment guidance sessions this afternoon. We will be sending, we haven't sent a Zoom link to those yet, so look forward to it. We're just going to let you know at this orientation to look forward to the Zoom link, but we didn't want to confuse you by sending you 2 Zoom links and not knowing which one's which. So just keep an eye on your email. After this is over, we're going to send you an updated Zoom link. Those enrollment guidance sessions are going to be a little bit more casual. And basically, we're going to talk about exactly what we should be looking for our fall coursework. Thank you for you know, helping me out with that. The Zoom kind of got a little crazy. Okay, Shanghai, Amsterdam, Toronto, Scotland. Okay. So we're actually looking at Copenhagen on the right there. And in the center is a place that I really love. That's Mostar. That's in Bosnia and Herzegovina. A beautiful river which separates culturally 2 parts of this beautiful ancient city called Mostar, which was heavily affected actually during the Yugoslav wars. And after spending a little time there, being a big bridge nerd, that was kind of a cool place for me to visit. Cool. So let's move on here. If you're at this orientation, you're going to be in one of these 9 majors. International Studies actually offers 9 majors from anthropology to sociology. So I want everyone to just take a look at this mentally and just say like, oh, there I am as one of these majors. We rely heavily on our partner departments on campus to offer a wide offering of disciplinary focused course offerings for our majors. And moving on, like let's talk about the requirements at UCSD. Now, this probably looks different than, like, say, your community college or maybe a previous university you were at. We have Triton there on the right. So Triton's requirements are going to be broken down, and this is for all students, not just transfers, not for international studies majors. This is all students on campus. Requirements are broken down into college and university requirements and major requirements. Now, for college and university requirements, each one of the newly admitted students, whether they're first years or transfers like yourselves, are going to be part of one of 8 colleges here at UCSD. And it's a little bit confusing because depending on what college you're in, your requirements at the GE or college level may look different. And your college requirements will also look different depending on what you've transferred to UCSD. Have you transferred to GETC? Maybe you've transferred from a different UC, or maybe you're just a general transfer. Your college GEs are going to look different in all of these situations. So really, GEs are I wouldn't say they're unique to each student, but there's a huge amount of variance in what your college GEs may be. University requirements down there in the bottom left, those are a little bit more standard. 180 units are necessary to graduate. That includes transfer units. Transfers like yourself are able to transfer up to 105 units. And then typically courses at UCSD are about 4 units each. Almost all courses are, in fact. So that gives you a rough idea about like how to reach 180 units. And then down there in the bottom left still, we have the DEI, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, a writing, American history and institution, and a climate change requirement. Those are necessary for all students. Now, in saying that, there's a good chance that you've transferred one or some of those requirements already. But being that we're your major advisors, we're the International Studies Program advising team, we're more focused on your major requirements. So on the right side of this tree here, what you'll have for your major requirements is we'll break those out into lower div and upper div course requirements. Lower division requirements are language requirements. All students in the International Studies Program have a language requirement. But then there's also possible other lower division requirements depending on your major. We'll get to that in just a second. Upper division requirements, you're going to have INTL. Those are our INTL courses, the core courses. It says DF, IE, and RR. And that simply means disciplinary focus, interdisciplinary electives, and regional requirements. And we'll get to those when we start talking about curriculum in just a minute here. So this is kind of a different way to look at it. The overview of major requirements. All students will have an ISP language requirement. Some students will have other lower division requirements, and we'll talk about those specifically for different majors. I think I'll just in the next couple slides. All of our majors will be taking 3 INTL courses. Those courses, we call them INTL courses because that's how they're listed on like the enrollment systems and the catalog. That's their course code, as we call it. 8 disciplinary core courses, and these courses are going to be specifically related to your major. For instance, if I'm an international studies sociology student, these 8 courses are going to be sociology courses. If I'm an international studies, international business student, these 8 courses will be management courses from the Rady School of Management. And then 3 interdisciplinary electives. Simply put, these courses are going to be taken from outside of your discipline of your disciplinary focus. And this contributes to the interdisciplinary nature of our program. Well, let's jump into this. And like I said, we'll have the enrollment guidance sessions this afternoon. So I would encourage everyone to, if you have a question specifically about academics over the next maybe half a dozen slides here, Likely, if it is general, we could probably answer it at the end of this presentation. If it's specific to your own situation, let's hold that until this afternoon, where we can kind of work with you in a more, personal one-on-one manner. Yeah, right. So let's talk about the language requirement. First of all, the requirement is a fourth quarter proficiency in a foreign language. Now, I just want to stop right there because a lot of students assume that that means, language requirement would mean fluency in a foreign language. That's not the case. The best way I could explain it is like if I was a student, I grew up speaking English and a little bit of Spanish throughout academically. But like, what if I wanted to learn German? And starting tomorrow, I don't know any German, but like starting tomorrow, if I started learning German, that means in this fall quarter, winter, spring, and then next fall, that's 4 quarters. If I took German all the way through, now I wouldn't be fluent at German, but maybe, I would have enough knowledge that I could hold a casual conversation, certainly go to a store and, buy things or order food. So that would be the fourth quarter equivalency or fourth quarter proficiency in that language. Now, there's a lot of ways that we can achieve this language requirement. Many students are coming, transfer students are coming to UCSD with experience in a language at their community college. Some of those courses, depending on the language, are automatically articulated to your academic history, meaning that they've transferred and basically look like UCSD courses now. A lot of our students, this is really common, have to take a placement exam. Placement exams, simply put, will judge your level in a given language and place you into the appropriate language course at UCSD, whether that's the first quarter, second, third, maybe even fourth, maybe higher than that. We do have a language waiver. The language requirement is not required for students who went to high school outside of the US and in a language of instruction other than English. If you know that you went to the high school outside of the US, you can go ahead and submit that waiver. Proficiency exam, this is similar to a waiver, but basically this is a test administered by the linguistics department here on campus. And this is going to judge if you're at a fourth quarter level or higher. This would be appropriate for, like, say you grew up here in San Diego or in California and English was your second language, or you're fluent in, a lot of our students, especially in San Diego, have fluency in Spanish. That would be appropriate for you. AP, IB, or SAT 2 scores. I'm gonna extend that to also community college courses. We're seeing more and more students completing up to a fourth quarter language at the community college level. And then heritage language, this is kind of interesting. When we actually just did the first year orientation as well. So we had some questions on this, so I'll try to explain this as succinctly as possible. But essentially, if you grew up with a different language in your household that you didn't have a formal education about, maybe you can speak it but can't read or write it. Maybe you know it in an informal way, like you know how to talk to your aunties and uncles and your parents, but you don't necessarily know how to talk to a professor in that language. That's where a heritage language would at UCSD would come into place. I think these courses are they're pretty incredible. They oftentimes focus on like a specific part of culture, maybe even like holidays, social gatherings, stuff like that. You'll have to work with the Department of Linguistics to explain your situation and to get approval to take one of these. They're not necessarily for everyone. Some people may be too fluent in a language that they grew up speaking, so it wouldn't be appropriate because they're above this level. Some people may not have had enough exposure to a given language growing up, so they would be better off taking a placement exam and taking regular coursework at UCSD, language coursework. And then that final note, IGETC does not necessarily satisfy the language requirement. It's possible that you've taken ample coursework at the community college level to fulfill a fourth quarter language, the fourth quarter language requirement at UCSD, but just having the IGETC does not guarantee that. Again, like happy to take a closer look at individual students' language and where they're at this afternoon. So lower div requirements, this is important for everyone, but if you're one of those three majors, economics, IS international business, or IS philosophy, please do not go turn your brain off for this slide. Econ business, international studies econ, IS international business, and IS phil, they all have a lower division component to their major requirements that's outside of the language requirement. For economics and international business, we're looking at a calculus series, 10 or 20 A, B, and C. That's a total of 3 courses. A combination, like if you did 20A, 10B, 10C, that works. I would strongly recommend, we'll talk about the academic tools, to review your degree audit and look at your academic history. Because if you've taken calculus coursework at your CC, which I know many of you have, you're likely going to be starting at maybe midway through the sequence, maybe even starting at like the C level already. If you are starting at pre-cal, that's by no means do you have to change majors or abandon ship. You have ample time at UCSD, even if you're starting at like pre-cal, to complete the calculus series necessary for your major. As you can see in the bottom left, economics has lower division econ coursework. These will prepare you for your upper division economics coursework. You can tell that these are lower division because all the courses listed here are between 1 and 99, their number. Anything 100 or above is considered upper division. The accounting coursework, as we can see in the middle, for business students is very similar. And I know these courses are often taken at the community college level. In addition to that, international studies philosophy students do have a logic requirement. That's philosophy 10, which is the introduction to logic. Now, if you look at your academic history and you realize, I think I took one of these courses, but it's not reflected on my degree audit, or it's not reflected correctly at UCSD, we'll use assist.org to ensure, check that lower division. And if it really is a mistake, please reach out to us and we'll make sure we're talking to the right people to have that course correctly, what we say, articulated at UCSD. So let's move on here to the INTL core courses. Now, the International Studies program offers a sequence of 3 INTL courses that are unique to our majors. That's INTL 100, 101, and 102. INTL 100 is new this year. Actually, these many transfer students are going to be the first students to take INTL 100, but it's going to focus on skills in analytical reading and writing through an interdisciplinary approach. After completing INTL 100, students will move on to INTL 101 and 102. You can take those in any order. As you can see, INTL 101 is more about the culture and society through an international perspective. 102 is more about economics, politics, and international change. Now, in addition to INTL 100, 101, 102, students can take INTL 190 if they'd like to. INTL 190 is a capstone seminar. This course has main emphasis is a research paper of about 20 to 30 pages. So if you're interested in research, or maybe you're interested in a graduate school that has a substantial research aspect, or any jobs that require a deliverable or some kind of supplemental documents, this is a great course to take because essentially you're leaving UCSD with a really well-polished research paper that, like I said, you can use in the future. Many of our students do that. So although it's not required, it's certainly an option for students who want to kind of advance their studies and, like I said, leave UCSD with a really strong deliverable for future opportunities. So the prerequisites for INTL 100, as we can see here, is the completion of at least 1/4 of a university level writing course. This differs greatly by college. I want every student to identify their college, ERC, Warren, Muir. As you can see, ERC, Warren, and Muir do have a prerequisite that they have to take at UCSD. That's going to be 121 or 122 of the MMW series for ERC students. WCWP 100 for Warren students, MCWP 50 or 125, and then Marshall 6th, 7th, 8th, and Revelle College students do not have a specific upper division writing GE. If you have a GETC, you can submit an easy request to request enrollment in INTL 100. If you've transferred with the equivalent of a college writing course, please submit an easy request. If you have a GETC, but it's not fully processed yet, which is fairly common at this point, it may be the case that you need to submit an easy request. We're going to discuss easy requests this afternoon in more depth. You should be prompted if you do not, essentially, if you don't have the prerequisites to take any course at UCSD, you'll be prompted to submit an easy request. Easy simply means enrollment authorization system. I know it's kind of lazy, but with the abbreviation that they just put SY together for system, but I guess it's easier to say easy than an EAS request. Simply put, the prerequisites for INTL 101 and 102 is the completion of INTL 100 with a letter grade of C- or better. You'll need to complete your major requirements, all upper division major requirements for a letter grade of C- or better. And this gives you just a little bit more idea about the topics and how these courses differ. If you're interested in taking 190, plan on taking INTL 101 and 102 prior to your final year at UCSD, or maybe fall of your second year. You'll need to complete 101 and 102, again, with a letter grade of C- or better in order to take 190. And just talking a little bit more about INTL 190, just a nuance here is INTL 190 courses can fulfill a regional requirement if they're focused on a region. Just bookmark that in your brain because we're going to talk about what a regional requirement actually looks like. And I just wanted to give some examples of INTL 190 capstone seminars. You're going to be working, if taking an INTL 190, you'll work very closely with a professor. These are seminar courses. So, course size is typically between 15 and 20 students per professor. So you're going to have a close relationship with this professor. And we'd like to align you with professors that you share a research interest in. Like maybe you're interested in public policy, social welfare, and Maureen Feely, Dr. Feely at political science might be the perfect person for you. We rotate professors all throughout the year. Don't think these are our only 4. I mean, I would say we choose from a larger roster of probably 20 to 25 professors, visiting professors, professors on campus that teach to their interests. And really, we think it's a win-win-win for professors if they teach to what they're interested in, what their expertise is in. And if we can align students that want to write a research paper that is adjacent or even on the same topic of the professor's research interests, we only find that to be beneficial. And then just another program that's related to INTL 190 is the International Studies Honors Program. This is a 2-quarter sequence that as transfer students you'd be taking in your second year at UCSD. This is recommended for students who have a strong interest in original research and who intend to pursue graduate or professional studies. Students who are looking to get into a highly competitive graduate programs, possibly PhD programs, the IS Honors Program is strongly recommended. There is a GPA requirement. You will have, if successfully completing the program, you will have honors denoted on your academic record and on your diploma. You will do this in the fall and winter of your senior or your 4th year or second year as transfers. Basically, you're going to be working one-on-one with a professor at UCSD, really honing in a research topic and writing a research paper that's going to be more robust than a regular INTL 190 paper. Again, like many of our honor students have moved on to high positions, fellowships, Ivy League schools, or international think tanks, government positions. But but it will allow you to step up into basically a higher position or a more competitive grad school, I think, than what normally might be offered with a UCSD degree. So if that's something you're interested in, plan on taking INTL 100, 101, and 102 in your first year here as a transfer student at UCSD, as the application for the honors program will be due in June, which is going to come sooner than we know it. So away from the INTL courses, we can talk about disciplinary focus. I kind of mentioned this briefly. These courses are going to be directly related to your major. So if you're an anthro major, you're going to be studying courses from the Department of Anthropology, Lit, philosophy, poli-sci, sociology, working directly with those departments. The courses, whether they're taken from ranges or they're specifically prescribed. In the welcome packets that you were sent on July 31st, you'll have access to, there's links that'll link you to your major requirements. We'll also discuss this afternoon. And basically on our website, it's either specifically prescribed courses or ranges in which you can select courses. All of these disciplinary focus courses are going to have the course subject code directly relating to the discipline here. The only exception to this is international business students will, their courses will be selected from the Rady School of Management. So their courses will be listed as MGT. And then I'm just going to briefly touch on this because we're going to talk about this in depth this afternoon. Course recommendations for fall. First, we're going to talk, I would prioritize your remaining lower div major requirements, like your language requirement. And then if you're business, economics, or philosophy, one of those international studies majors, you might want to prioritize your lower division requirements. If you have a college writing requirement, you should prioritize in that in fall, as that's going to be your prerequisite for 100, INTL 100. As you can see, Marshall 6th, 7th, and Revell students with a GETC, please submit an easy request and you can look to take INTL 100 in fall. Don't think if you're in ERC, MIR, or Warren that you're going to be set behind or have a longer time to degree or time to graduation by not taking INTL 100 in fall. There's a finite amount of seats for INTL 100 in every quarter. So basically what I'm trying to say is not all transfers can take it regardless. Well, it's some transfers may be able to take it in fall, but it will be offered in winter and spring as well. So don't think if you don't take it in fall, then you're going to have to push it back like a whole academic year. Other major options, upper division disciplinary focus courses or upper division interdisciplinary electives, or general ed requirements, the DEI requirement, climate change requirement, AHI requirement if you have it. So yeah, let's talk about the degree audit. And I want all students here to be well informed about how to check the degree audit and basically make it a routine to check your degree audit often. The degree audit is exactly how advisors and students know that they are working towards the correct requirements. Like I said, please check it often. And let's take a look at what a degree audit actually looks like. So this is what a degree audit looks like. I will say it's pretty rudimentary, the design of it. You won't see a fancy, like the web page is not going to be fancy or beautiful, but basically it's going to have your requirements, and if they're completed, WIP, which stands for work in progress, or yet unfulfilled. As advisors, both at the major level, and then I'll show you, this is the college side, same degree audit, but these are just an example of some college requirements. As advisors, this is how we graduate students from UCSD. So you may think like, hey, I've done all my requirements, but you've never checked your degree audit once. Well, if your requirements are not correctly listed on your degree audit, we will not approve your diploma. So if graduating in time is important, which it should be, if, taking courses that are directly related to your major, not taking frivolous or extra coursework at UCSD, if all that's important to you, make checking your degree audit a habit. Every time you add or drop a course, you should look at your degree audit. Another adjacent to the degree audit is your academic history. For transfer specifically, your academic history is going to show your AP, IB, and community college or previous four-year institution transfer courses. It'll show how the courses transfer to UCSD with their approximation, essentially, like what course at UCSD you are given credit for from your previous coursework. You'll see your quarter by quarter classes and grades, and then you can also see any other, like a GETC, partial GETC, like I said, test scores. Academic history, while possibly not as important as your degree audit, it is still extremely important, especially for transfer students. This is just a quick example of what your academic history may look like. You can see the course code and number, course title, where you transferred it from, how many units, the grade, and then the level, LD being lower division, UD being upper division. I will say CC coursework is always lower division. Oftentimes students ask us, hey, like I took a business class at my CC, can I fulfill one of my upper division requirements? I took a poli-sci course at my CC, can I fulfill one of my upper division requirements? No, your upper division requirements must be upper division. Anything from a community college will be considered lower division. If you transfer from a four-year university, basically these, and we've been working with some students already that were four-year university transfers or what we call an ICT. Please check in with us individually or send us a back message. You should review your academic history. Please meet with us as your major advisors, your college advisors, and we'd like to do this as early as possible. It's oftentimes when students transfer from another four-year university, it really is on a case-by-case basis of how we review your academic history. Sometimes you have to petition courses to different departments on campus. We can kind of make this as seamless and painless as possible. So let's talk about study abroad. As transfer students, many people think, hey, I transferred to UCSD, I don't have enough time to study abroad. You sure do. You have time to study abroad. ISP has one of the highest rates of students that study abroad, and the vast majority of our students who study abroad graduate on time. I'll encourage anyone here, do not think that your personal financial situation will prevent you from studying abroad. There's financial aid advisors that are specific to study abroad here on campus, fellowships, scholarships. Basically, as the international studies program, if we weren't champions of studying abroad on campus, we don't know who would be, right? We like to see our students study abroad. As it pertains to your academics, oftentimes students can transfer 2, 3, or even 4 courses from their time abroad into their major requirements. And I would say for transfer students, like your time here at UCSD is short, just because the way the quarter system works out. The majority of our transfer students study abroad in fall of their second year. And that means it's never like too early to start thinking of studying abroad. It's never too early to start planning. Basically, as transfer students, even in fall, even before the quarter starts, going to the study abroad website, going to their getting started page, setting up an account and starting to work with advisors for next year is extremely beneficial. The earlier, the better in terms of planning study abroad. Also, as transfer students, research and internships are not out of the question because your time here is a little bit shorter than traditional four-year students. We think our transfer students bring more experience typically and a better perspective and oftentimes more professionalism when working with, say, faculty or internships off campus. While you're at UCSD, independent research with faculty is certainly possible through programs like the URH, which is the Undergraduate Research Hub, academic internship program, UCDC, the UC Center Sacramento. The APRU program is the Undergraduate Leaders Program. We send one student, basically we finance one student to go to the Undergraduate Leaders Program every year. These students travel to, places like East Asia. We've had students go to Australia. Basically, funding one of our undergraduate students in our major program to go abroad is something that we're very proud of. And then the research experience and applied learning portal. Now, I'm just going to touch on these because all of this information and links to these programs are going to be found in that welcome packet that we sent you on July 31st. That'll give you a little bit more time to explore these programs in depth. If you have any questions about these, feel free to reach out to one of the ISP advising members or one of the members of these programs directly via the VAC. Some of these programs prefer email, but generally each of these programs you can find a unique website, UCSD website, and a person of contact. We also have great opportunities at UCSD in terms of your career, internships, career coaching, resume writing, career exploration, networking. We have a unique job portal that's only accessible by UCSD students, and you can find all this on Handshake. These are two of our colleagues on the right here. That's Cam and Madigan. Both of these people work at the Central Career Center at UCSD. They're both career coaches, and they're kind of our, they work with many departments, but being that we're in social science, more largely international studies program is under the social science umbrella here on campus. These are some of the career coaches that you can look forward to working with. Basically at UCSD, this is an excellent resource that, there's no cost to it except your own effort and spending some of your time in reaching out. Working with career coaches might be the difference between you getting that internship, you getting that interview, or, you basically sitting down at the interview table. Like I said, resume writing, career coaching, even working on stuff like, making sure your LinkedIn is professional and that you've kind of covered all your bases with your public presence online. Career Center is kind of your one-stop shop for all that. So yeah, I'm also gonna let's talk about the joint bachelor master's program. We've already had some interest from our transfer students. As transfers, the timeline for a joint bachelor master's program is a little bit quicker, but just as a quick overview, if you're interested in this program, you would apply for a joint bachelor master's program in your first spring here at UCSD. That's 2025, in April of 2025. So it's right around the corner. If accepted to the joint bachelor master's program, and let me just stop myself, you will have to be one of the three majors listed at the bottom there: IS Economics, IS International Business, or IS Poly. If accepted to the program, essentially you're going to start taking master's level coursework in your second year at UCSD as a transfer. By the end of your second year, you'll graduate with your undergraduate degree in international studies, and you'll return to UCSD for 1 year in which you'll be a fully matriculated master's student. After 1 year of the master's curriculum, you will graduate with both your bachelor's in 2 years and your master's in 3. So after 3 years as a transfer student, you could graduate with the Bachelor's of Arts in International Studies and the Master's of International Affairs from one of the more prestigious international affairs programs, not only on the West Coast, but in the United States in general. These are for students who are looking for advanced training in the private, public, or nonprofit sectors. The Masters of International Affairs program has multiple career tracks and regional specializations. And it says apply in spring of your junior year, but for transfer students, we'd look for you to apply in spring of your first year here, so April 2025. I know that's a quick turnaround. There is, if you scan the QR code, or if you review the welcome packet, there is application requirements, including a GPA requirement, letters of recommendation, and a certain amount of coursework that needs to be done prior to applying. So it's imperative that we start thinking about this program really in your first fall quarter here at UCSD. We will be hosting an in-person workshop and information session for the joint program. That's going to happen in about probably week 3 or 4 of fall quarter. So just keep an eye on your email, and keep following us, like on especially Instagram, for more information about that. We don't have a date yet, but anyone who's interested, we'd love to see you there. Not only to express your interest, but just to put a face to the name. And so when you apply later in spring, we'll have a lot better idea, more rounded picture of who you are. In addition, we have the International Studies Student Association. This is the official student org for our program. The student org is kind of a combination of social events, but also academic and professional events. The mentorship program connects current members with new members that are interested in similar academic or professional interests. Like I said, social events, other opportunities for friendship, mentoring, beach activities, get-togethers, meals, food, but also, professional activities, such as like career development, alumni panels, opportunities from recent graduates, and internship resources. I think like the International Studies Student Association is great, especially if you're a transfer and you have limited time here, because it's the quickest way to become like integrated into our program. And you can hear from other transfer students about, take this course, stay away from this course, don't take the 8 a.m., take the 10 o'clock. I would take this course before that course. Like real hardy information about academics as a transfer student that you're not going to find online. Yeah, I mean, I think like there's only so much you can find on, of course, the UCSD web pages, but like even, I as an academic advisor, I'm always looking at like the UCSD Reddit, reading about courses, reading about professors. I know your students do that as well. But this is a good way to just like actually talk to someone, sit down with someone, and learn from their successes and possibly their mistakes. Another great resource for transfers is the General Triton Transfer Hub. This is a central campus initiative, study space, social events, peer coaching, academic and career workshops. I would suggest following them on Instagram if you use social media. You can also look to their website of just Googling UCSD Triton Transfer Hub. I'm sure they'll have some events coming up in fall. This is a good way to meet, fellow transfers. There's kind of like I said, similar to ISSA, learn from other transfer students. I think, particularly at ISP, like we're passionate about our transfer students. We're passionate from students that are coming from community colleges, coming from other four-year universities, non-traditional students that are starting their studies later in life. We're passionate about you. We really champion you in this program. We want to make your time at UCSD as beneficial as possible, because we understand that a lot of other programs or universities overlook transfer students because they're not on campus as long as four-year students. We look at that, we completely 180 that. We're like, you're here for a shorter amount of time, so we want to be as interactive with you, and we want to give you as many resources and opportunities as possible in the time that we have with you. So we're passionate. I say that, both personally and professionally, I'm passionate about our transfer students, and the unique perspective that you do have, what you bring to UCSD. How to contact us. If you're not tired of hearing my voice today and you still want to hear from me later in the future, drop-in advising will be available This is a campus initiative, campus policy. Newly admitted students will not be meeting with advisors through drop-in advising or appointments until after August 28th. There's a reason for that. Essentially, you are going to be transferred from like the newly admitted student advising side to our advising program called the EVAC. That's going to transfer to the VAC, the VAC, or the Virtual Advising Center. We're still happy to answer messages, and many of you have sent us messages already through the EVAC. So thank you for taking the initiative and doing that. But we'll still start drop-in advising after August 28th. Now you may be thinking like, wait, but I enroll tomorrow and I can't sit down with you until August 28th. That's the reason why we're offering these enrollment guidance sessions this afternoon, so we can try to answer as many questions as possible to make the fall enrollment for especially you transfer students as seamless as possible. Advising appointments, if there's larger either academic, personal concerns, or things that you think you really need to sit down and talk to us for longer than 15-20 minutes, go ahead and submit an appointment request form. Now, I would encourage students, like if you're just looking to talk about your quarterly schedule, if you want to make a plan for the next few quarters here at UCSD, go ahead and go to drop-in advising. One thing about drop-in advising is, although it says drop-ins, like it doesn't necessarily mean that's quick. If we need to spend half an hour with you during drop-ins, we will. We're never going to stop an advising session on account for time. We will work with you for as long as we need. Advising appointments, I would encourage students that want to discuss something more largely, or maybe something more sensitive, or something that you need to sit down with us and talk to us. I would also say for advising appointments, we highly encourage you to come in person, and oftentimes we'll refer you to drop-in advising if we think that we can cover all the necessary things that you submit an advising appointment request for. In drop-in advising, we'll request that you come to drop-ins to discuss it with us there. If we can't answer all your questions in drop-ins, or if it's something that we just need to spend more time on, we'll schedule an appointment with you right there. Virtual Advising Center. Quick questions. This is like our messaging system. This is going to be the place where, like, I'm taking this course. Is this the right course? Does this schedule look good? Quick questions. Even larger questions though, like even larger questions that may, be multifaceted. Shoot us a message in the Virtual Advising Center. We'll look to answer those within a few days, typically within 24 to 48 hours. One thing about the Virtual Advising Center, one of the downfalls is, like, you can send us messages, but you can't attach anything to them. So if you have an academic form that needs review and signature, submit that form to isp@ucsd.edu with the date you need it completed by. I will say this now, if you send advisors like myself and like Jose, we are encouraged not to do academic advising through our emails. That kind of goes back to student privacy and the laws surrounding students' privacy and personal information. That's why we have the Virtual Advising Center, because that is a secure messaging system just between an advisor and a student. That's a place where we can talk in depth about your academic history without fear of other people seeing it, or fear of violating any what they call FERPA violations. If you do send us questions to isp@ucsd.edu, you are likely not going to get a response as quick as the Virtual Advising Center. And we might just say outright, we cannot answer this via email. Please send us a message in the Virtual Advising Center. So let me just repeat that. Academic questions, or basically any questions having to do with your personal situation that does not have an academic form, please send those to the Virtual Advising Center. If you do have an academic form that you need signed, you can submit that form as an attachment to isp@ucsd.edu. So here's the VAC. You can find this, like I said, questions to your college and major advisors. You're going to select who you send these to. You can find this you can just actually Google Virtual Advising Center UCSD. That's a simple way to find it, or through my Triton link tools under advising tools. This is what the question kind of format's going to look like in the back. You're going to select the topic using the Ask a Question button on the left. If the question is specifically for your major or your major advisors like me, Jose, Matthew, select International Studies Program. If the question is referring to a college or university requirement, direct it to your college or university, which you can find, or excuse me, direct it to your college, which you can find from the drop-down menu. Again, directing these messages, like if you have a question about your GEs and you direct it to us, it will only delay the time in which that question is answered. Again, meeting with an advisor through drop-in advising can also be found through the Virtual Advising Center using the Meet with an Advisor button there on the left. And my Triton Link tools, this is something that all of our newly admitted transfer students like yourself, this is what everyone should bookmark this. This is basically top to bottom, both advising, classes and enrollment, grades and transcripts, financial tools. As you can see, we have the degree audit, which we discussed briefly, the Virtual Advising Center, transfer course approximations. If you want to look at your previously transferred courses, if you think there might be a mistake, or if you want to continue taking courses at, say, a community college. WebReg to plan your schedule and register. The schedule of classes, immensely important. This will show you the schedule for the upcoming quarter as well as previous quarters. Easy, the enrollment authorization system, which we discussed briefly before. Then your academic history. These are all found under my Triton Link tools. So let's talk briefly about AI. I think the basically, you know, in this day and age, there are a lot of tools that allow for students to do work in a more productive way, but also in saying that, and particularly AI, there are tools that can get students into hot water on campus if used incorrectly or irresponsibly. So look at those general rules, but all students should be taking the academic integrity tutorial. Essentially, that is your contract between you and campus that says, hey, I understand academic integrity at UCSD. And so there's no reason for you to make a mistake in the future, whether on purpose or deliberately. One of the most important things about academic integrity, and particularly how it intersects with the use of AI, is that each instructor for a given course has different rules about what constitutes as honest work. You will need to work with each individual professor if you have any questions at all about academic integrity. What your professor in one course, you know, even if it's same political science or INTL courses, you take 101 with one professor and 102 with the other professor, they have the right as professors to define academic integrity violations and the use of AI directly for the course that they're teaching in that given quarter. So when in doubt, you should always ask the professor, ask the TAs of a given course. We have plenty of students every year that have to take a quarter off. Maybe, I mean, let me rephrase that are suspended for a quarter, possibly suspended for a whole year, or dismissed from the university in general for not understanding academic integrity rules. And Dr. Fewer, do you want to just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, thanks, Corey. Yeah, I would just echo really what Corey said, that it's your responsibility to understand in each course that you take what exactly the academic integrity rules are, particularly surrounding artificial intelligence. Some professors are going to allow you to use ChatGPT or another AI tool to do, to support your research for a project in some way, and they will specify the extent to which you're permitted to use those tools. Some professors may not allow you to use those tools at all. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you understand your professor's expectations. And what I'd say, I mean, I think the sort of general rule for, everything that you do as a student here is, if you are unsure, don't try to figure it out yourself. Don't sort of think, well, I'll just assume that it means XYZ. What you should do is ask, right? So you will have the opportunity to clarify with your professor, with your TA, whoever it is that, you are in conversation with about a particular assignment, what exactly is permitted, what is not permitted. So please take it upon yourself to take responsibility for understanding exactly what's allowed and what's not.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and the whole introduction of academic integrity right now, and you'll hear it at your college orientations, the academic integrity tutorial. We're not trying to scare you. We just want to make sure that you have all the information necessary, so there's no gray area. We want things to be as clear as possible. Yeah, and we have an office here at UCSD that is specific to academic integrity. They have a virtual front desk. They will accept you in a Zoom call, and they can talk to you. If you have a question, any question at all, or if you think, yeah, this may be on the line of like academic integrity, maybe you're in a group project and you don't feel comfortable addressing your group about that, but you want to know, is this going to be a violation if we turn in this paper? Go to academic integrity directly. Because like ignorance as an excuse or not knowing policies is not going to cut it. Retaking courses, failing courses while being both financially costly, possibly financially costly, it can be the difference of getting into a graduate school, having an academic integrity violation on your record, having failed courses because of that. It can be the difference between, if jobs thoroughly look at your time here at UCSD, that could be a huge red flag. So we just want to make sure students have all the resources necessary and, again, make it as clear as possible. Final reminders, fall course enrollment appointments begin tomorrow. For many of the students here, I don't think there's any that start on the 15th, but essentially first pass will start tomorrow. Like I said, drop-in advising and appointments begin after August 28th. Our typical drop-in schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. If you're on campus, come and see us in person. Like, drop in. Even if it's not during those hours, you just want to say what's up, please do. Like, we want to meet you. We want to be as accepting as possible. Like this, essentially, like we wouldn't be in these jobs if we couldn't work with students face to face. We want to make things as seamless, as easy, and set you up for success the best we can. Okay. You can always look at our updated calendar of advising on our advising page. And let's talk about some academic resources. All of these resources you can find in the welcome packet that we sent to you on July 31st, our newly admitted students page. Some of the opportunities that we talked about earlier, academic integrity. I think I've kind of had my say with that one. FAS, Financial Aid and Scholarships Office. They have a really robust team of advisors to discuss anything and everything about financial aid and scholarships. As your major academic advisors, we're not encouraged to talk to you about anything relating to financial aid. Oftentimes, for the majority of students, we do not have any of that information. That is at a kind of a level of security that only financial aid and scholarships has. So that's kind of your that is your greatest resource when it comes to those topics. Major requirements, happy to talk to you about those, of course. Study abroad, kind of like what I discussed. As transfer students, you can study abroad. never too early to start thinking about it. And even starting like with the first steps between now and the first day of classes, I think is a great idea. I'm going to talk about CAPS in just a second, but Oasis provides academic support and yeah, community-based mentoring, professional development. The Writing Hub, if you want a little bit of extra help on your writing, I've done the Writing Hub actually as a student before, basically sitting down or Zooming with a writing tutor here on campus. They can overlook some of your work and basically give you some suggestions of how to write a little bit more strongly. For those who do have a math requirement, the math department on their website, they have a exhaustive list of tutoring options. So if even in the first instance where you think you might be struggling in some of your math courses, please look at the tutoring resources offered by the math department. And then OSD collaborates with students with documented disabilities to review documentation and determine appropriate accommodations. That's not only for students that have a documented disability already. If you think that you might be eligible, please start working with OSD as soon as possible. It does take a little bit of time to have those accommodations on your record. But even if you didn't have this at your community college or your high school or your previous institution, or maybe it's something new, or maybe it's just something you want to explore with the OSD office, I highly encourage you to do so sooner rather than later. And then I'm just going to go up one to basic needs for anyone. And this is, let's just break down the stigma here in general. We're, as transfer students, particularly, our cohorts come from a variety of different backgrounds. We understand in this day and age, we have students every year that are subject to food insecurity, housing insecurity, financial insecurity, not enough resources that are provided just through the university itself. So just to provide equitable support to all our students and to make sure that you are connecting with the right people, reach out to us, but we'll usually have you kind of work with maybe the basic needs offices here on campus. If you're experiencing any of those, just know that there's no stigma in our office. We work with students like this all the time that are experiencing some of these. And even if you're not experiencing them now, or if they're not consistent throughout your life, just come in and talk to us. We do not, the worst thing that can happen is when students come to us and it's too late, and you may have suffered emotionally or mentally or academically because of any of these basic need insecurities. And that leads me to my next and last academic resource here on campus. And that's at the top right, and that's CAPS. That's Counseling and Psychological Service. Now, as a UCSD student, you have access to free, confidential psychological counseling and crisis service for all as a registered UCSD student. Again, we're talking about like stigmas and kind of breaking these down. Like I was previously a master's student at UCSD. I went to CAPS. I worked with a therapist. I worked, in some of the services and some of the kind of outreach programs that they offer. And I have no shame in saying that. School is hard. Transitioning to a UC is extremely difficult. And if you're anything like me, you have a lot of other things going on in life. Like school is just one facet of a otherwise busy life. So if you're experiencing any distress, depression, if you feel like you're overly stressed or you can't perform the best you might be able to academically, start early with CAPS. Go to CAPS and at least start seeing if they have some resources that would be right for you, or start working with a therapist or a counselor at CAPS. Personally, I champion therapy. I think that's like everyone can benefit from it. I don't see anything wrong with it. In fact, I think students who go through therapy, it's like a superpower when I see them, on the other side of, sessions. So If you have any questions about that, I'm happy to talk about it personally, and I can explain my personal situation. But this is just like the basic needs. This is just like OSD. The earlier you start, the better. Don't wait until it's too late. Okay.